Hello and welcome back to the DJDH channel, Electric. And today I want to speak to you, and it's this morning, it's Saturday morning, it's 9:48 I believe. Yes, it is 9:48 a.m. and I want to talk to you about what happened back in 2010-2011 when I was a manager of the division of St John Ambulance, a charity organisation that provides first aid response and general response to first aid incidents, as well as indoor and outdoor events such as concerts, professional football, rugby, horse racing, horse jumping events, etc. Theatres and etc. as well. We also provided training in various areas of first aid for adults and cadets, and I believe it was an admiral organisation. However, recent events have gone against the idea that St John Ambulance as an organisation is a stand-up operation and is now being taken over by the Woke Brigade. This Woke Brigade, they're everywhere, aren't they? St John has been accused of erasing women. Yes, erasing women, rubbing them out, after issuing guidance on how to perform CPR on people with breasts. Not on women, with people on breasts. Yes, CPR, you know. Its webpage stated it aimed to address the fact that people with breasts are statistically less likely to receive bystander help than men. However, gender critical campaigners said a failure to use the word women in the guide was an unfortunate example of misogyny in a life and death situation. They give advice on how to save a life, do the first aid, do your resuscitation, but they don't mention women. They say on men, yes, but on the other people, you know, those with breasts. And it's caused an uproar. It's caused a lot of upset, obviously, and critical campaigners have said it's a failure to use the word women in the guide was an unfortunate example of his misogyny in a life and death situation. The First Aid charity is the latest organisation to come under fire for using gender neutral language in an effort to be more inclusive to transgender people. Now, I have to tell you, when I was St John Ambulance and I ran the Kidderminster division for a short time, I met lots of people that were gender fluid in the organisation, homosexuals, lesbians, and we worked together, but it never seemed to interfere with how we treated people, how we trained people. But suddenly now we've got this, you can't say women, you've got to say people with breasts. Nonsense, but that's how these things go, isn't it? They are getting to the point of ridiculous. Well, they're not getting to the point of ridiculous, they are ridiculous. Now, the First Aid charity is the latest organisation, as I say, to become under fire for using gender neutral language in an effort to become more inclusive to transgender people. The guide, which also explains how to use a defibrillator, you know, the two electric points that go on this side and that side and this side, and the power goes from this side through the heart and the other side to start it up again. That's a simple explanation, I hope. So the defibrillator, this guide explains how to use the defibrillator and also advises readers they should remove bras or binding if the casualty is wearing one, in order to reach their bare chest. Problem with some of these bras, they've got a metal underwiring, and so it shorts out the electrical charge. So it has to go on the bare flesh. Now, what's this about removing the bras or the binders? Well, binders are a form of underwear usually worn by transgender men. You know, that's women. Transgender men are women who think they're men and they want to look more like men. So instead of having their breasts sticking out, they have a binder and elasticated that goes across their chest to flatten it and to make them look like they've got a big chest rather than breasts. And that makes them feel the men. Yes, that's another story, isn't it? Okay, so they wear these binders to temporarily flatten the breasts and create a more masculine appearance. It doesn't. You can tell when a woman is trying to be a man, especially, and you can tell when a man's trying to be a woman. But that's not a part of this. Attention to the web page. This is the St John Ambulance web page. Was drawn by a campaign group, called Women's Rights Network (WRN), which posted a screenshot of its title on X, formerly Twitter, wasn't it? Women's Rights Network have drawn our attention to they've developed chronic amnesia and forgotten the word for half the population. This is their words, by the way. They've developed chronic amnesia and forgotten the word for half the population. Those people with breasts are, wait for it, those people with breasts are women. Who would have known? They have no problem with saying men. So why don't we merit the same respect? The Women's Rights Network said. The post provoked a series of angry responses, including from those who described the guide as insulting, with pointing out the double standards of referring to men in the same headline. Now, Kathy Larkham, she's one of the Women's Rights Network directors, told the Telegraph, "From our point of view, this is just another example of misogyny. If St John Ambulance are referring to women, then they need to say women," she said. She continues, the clear message is extremely important when it comes to health, and in the case of CPR, cardiac pulmonary resuscitation, it is potentially a life and death situation. Yes, it is. I'm aware of that from my own experience in St John Ambulance, working at working at Silverstone racetrack, where a man collapsed and I resuscitated him. But that's another story again, isn't it? So let's forget it. Maya Forstater. Now, Maya Forstater is the chief executive of Charity Sex Matters, and she said it beggars belief that some of the worst offenders when it comes to butchering factual sex-based language are medical organisations. Yes, it does. It does beg the belief. She added, like many organisations, St John Ambulance never used to have a problem calling women what they are, women, until activists began to insist that this was offensive. Activists, left-wing organisations, who started saying it was offensive to call women women. It beggars belief, it really does. Now, to claw back credibility, St John Ambulance should revoke this guidance and reissue it using factual and commonly understood language. Now, let's give St John Ambulance a fair crack of the whip. As I say, I used to be a divisional manager. They called them superintendents at one stage. In response, a St John Ambulance spokesperson, not a spokesman, not a spokeswoman, spokesperson said, according to research, women are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR, cardiac pulmonary resuscitation, in public because people are afraid to touch breasts. I'll finish off then. I want to say something else. For International Women's Day, we revisited our CPR bra campaign that focused on saving more women's lives to remind people of the first aid steps to improve women's chances of survival. Now, I was teaching first aid to grown-ups when a grown-up who was renewing her certificate stopped me. And as I was demonstrating on the mannequin, and I was 1, 2, 3, She said, it's a woman. If it's a woman, you shouldn't have your hands there. And as it's in the middle of the chest, pressing it down to squash the heart, so the heart is compressed, and when it comes up and then it goes down, it's pumping the blood up and down. And she said, well, you shouldn't be using the flat of your hand. I use the heel of the hand. She said, you shouldn't be using that because you're between the breasts, so you should do that so that you're not touching the breasts. I said, if the woman has stopped, heart has stopped, she's for all purposes dead. She's not going to mind when I save her life and bring her back to life that I touch the side of her breasts. Don't talk ridiculous. Anyway, let's me continue. So there is some more I want to say. The St John Ambulance spokesperson continued, this reluctance to give CPR affects everybody with breasts. He's done it again. I'll repeat. The CPR spokesperson said, this reluctance to give CPR, cardiac pulmonary resuscitation, affects everybody with breasts. It affects every woman. And the CPR guidance on the web pages seeks to convey this important message. We have reviewed the title of the CPR guidance on our website and are improving the wording to ensure it reflects everybody. St John seeks to help. It's not St John seeks to help. This is the spokesperson. It's St John Ambulance seeks to help. The full title is St John Ambulance, not St John's Ambulance, St John Ambulance. Get it right, man or woman or person, whoever you are, speaking on behalf of the St John Ambulance Association. Okay, so I'm not going to say any more on this. I think I've said enough. St John have got to come to grips with the fact people with breasts are women. And they should be given the same courtesy as men. They should receive the same CPR if they need it as men. And the idea that it is sacrosanct, you mustn't touch a breast while saving a life, is not a sexual thing. Touching a breast when saving a life, the person saving the life is not thinking, oh look, I'm touching a breast. That is stupidity. That is mindlessness. It's in your minds, not in the mind of the rescuer. So I'm going to ask you now, you viewers, thank you for viewing, thank you for listening. So, but what do you think? Has Britain become a country where men have breasts and not chests? And if so, should we change our common language to accommodate the changes in men who take hormones to create breasts upon their chests? I'm going to say no, but no. Ignore me. Make your comment. Should we change our language so that we don't talk about women with breasts? We talk about persons with breasts. Should we eliminate the word women? Are we misogynic to eliminate the word women? I think so. Do you think so? Please leave your comments. Please make your comments known. Please press the like button. And don't forget to subscribe. It doesn't cost you a penny. Nor a dime. Not even a rupee. It's totally free. So please press that subscribe button. I need your subscriptions. I'm sorry about my stuttering at the moment. I'm on medication. And it seems to be affecting me a little bit. Okay? But don't let me down. Subscribe and help me continue. So, until the next time, make your comments known. Subscribe, press the like button. Until the next time, be safe, be good, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.